Hey there, everyone. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Amber.
We're identical twin sisters from Southern California. While we may look exactly alike, sometimes we think that's all we have in common.
We invite you to grab a cup of coffee
Or a glass of wine.
and hang out with us for a little bit.
This is #TwinLifePodcast.
Hello.
Hello.
I think I'm waving the clap in.
Okay, that's fine.
Anyways, hello everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to the #TwinLifePodcast. I am one of your hosts, Ashley, and my twin sister over there, Amber,
Hello.
is with us. Yes, hello. We have a fun topic for you guys today, and I hope you guys are liking the short episodes. Let us know. Leave us a review. We've gotten quite a few listens, so I'm assuming people are enjoying being able to catch us in a quick, little bite-sized version. Yeah. But yeah, so go in the description. You guys can go down there and see where to find us and give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts so other people can find us.
Yay.
And yeah, so let's get into it. So really quick, how has your week been going? Good. The weather seems better there, I think, now.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like really super nice outside. So I'm enjoying the weather. It's been sunny. It's supposed to be sunny for the rest of the week. I guess we're finally in the springtime here in Indiana. So I am enjoying it. I started Aqua Talks this week with Landon. That was today. So it's just been a good day. Some intense things happened. So if you're listening to this and you know me personally, you know like what's been going on this week. But we're handling it. It actually has oddly kind of turned itself into like a positive situation for our household and like just as a family. So, sometimes really good things come out of really stressful, anxiety filled situations.
Yeah.
So, but we started going to a brand new church, and a lot of the women that go to this church go to F45 with me. So there's a huge community of women and some guys, I guess, but I don't even know what guys. I guess some of the husbands of these women go. And so I've learned
oh, wow.
I've been, seeing them at workouts, and then we also see them at church, spent some time with some of them. Friday, Blake and I have our first couples game night through the church too. So we're just really excited about kind of feeling a part of a community now. So it's been pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here, it's just been beautiful San Diego weather. We had some rain yesterday. We registered Phoenix for kindergarten, so that's exciting.
Yay!
We unfortunately aren't going to be able to put him in public school for kindergarten, which, I mean, it sounds like unfortunately, which sounds ungrateful, but we're really kind of looking forward to being able to put him in public school because the public schools around here where we live are really good. But because of the way things are in San Diego right now, we're still pretty closed off when it comes to COVID stuff. So we're not sure where the schools will be at in the spring. And we don't want him, if we don't register him now, we could lose a spot because there's literally only 12 spots for kindergarten at this preschool that he's
12?
at. So yes, there's only 12 spots. So we had to I was like, well, we're going to have to jump on it. So we did register him. He's excited. His teachers had already been talking to them about them moving to a new classroom and just all that kind of stuff about like, you're going to be up there with the big kids are. And so he's already been getting excited about it. So, so we're looking forward to being able to have him in kindergarten, and, he's just growing up so fast.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy to me that Phoenix is starting kindergarten.
I know, it is so crazy. But so on the topic of him growing and getting bigger, as he's gotten older, I think when they're little, you kind of like, say little like white lies here and there about like things that are going to happen. Like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to go to the park. And then they forget. And then you just kind of move on, even though you knew full well you weren't going. Or just like little stuff like that. But the older they get, the less that works. I mean, I think that works like for like 2 years. Phoenix's memory, he has.
And then they start remembering things. They start remembering that you told them stuff.
So like, exactly. So then it's like, oh dang, like I have to actually like, you have to be more conscious of what you tell them. So that kind of brings us to our topic, which is going to be about kind of like what the effects are on your kids when you like when you lie to them, when you lie around them, even if it's like, you know, what you would consider like a little lie or a, you know, obviously people know obviously telling big lies to your kids will have some sort of negative impact, but yeah, so let's just kind of dive into it. I know we had like an article I think that you looked up.
The article actually, oddly enough, is called "Should You Be Lying to Your Kids About Santa?" and it's a Time Magazine article. And it's interesting to me because in our household, we kind of made the conscious choice to not tell Landon that Santa is real, because to me, I can still share the myth and the lore of Saint Nicholas without making him convincing him that Santa is bringing him gifts.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and it's also the sad thing of like, I mean, there's kids that like, you know, believing in Santa is kind of like, you know, a upper middle class belief, because kids that grow up in like impoverished households, like every year, they're not getting the gifts under the tree full of, you know, Santa doesn't come to poor kids' houses. Like you'll hear people say that, which is not true if Santa was real, but since he's not real, it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? And so to me, I want to just make sure that I try to make a really fine line between what's real and what's not. And also I know that there's kids that Santa is the first lie that parents tell their kids. And it's it's unnecessary. And a lot of kids they either get really upset or get embarrassed because someone else inadvertently, whether it's another kid at their school, tells them that Santa's not real. And I just feel like it's just not a necessary thing for my kid to be like, so you lied. And as an adult, you're like, it's a dumb thing. Like, who cares? As a kid, it's like a mind blowing, like, my parents have been lying to me. What else are they lying to me about? If lying must be okay.
Right.
If I don't tell the truth, it's fine. So the article kind of goes into, you know, basically lying perpetuates lying. And she uses kind of an example that I really liked, which is she was at like a Party City buying some stuff from a Party City, and the lady, you know, the cashier asked her if she had an email address, you know, just to check and see if they were on their, you know, little newsletter or membership or whatever. And she says, no, I don't have an email address. She doesn't say like, no, I don't want to join your membership, or no, I'm not a member, thank you, but I don't want to give my email address. She says, I don't have an email address. So her daughter's like, looks at her like, yeah, you do. Why are you lying? Like, you do have an email address. You know, then there's another example of her taking her daughter to the doctor and her lying to the doctor about how much screen time her daughter gets. And her daughter, before they get there, is like, you know, are you gonna tell the doctor the truth? She's like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you always tell him that I'm on my iPad, like not as much as I actually am. She's like, you always lie to him about it, whether I use it or not. And she was like, oh, well, you know, basically she kind of goes to this explanation of, well, sometimes I lie because it's not because you did anything bad or wrong, but like, it's because I have an insecurity about it and I really shouldn't lie. So I feel like it's just more important to show honesty to your kids, because they're going to figure out that you're lying, and they're going to think it's okay. And no matter how many times you tell them you shouldn't lie, they're going to be like, well, you lie all the time. Like, you don't tell the truth. Like, you know, small things. So.
Yeah. And also too, I think like when kids are little, it takes a while for somebody, and even adults don't have this, but develop the ability to realize that sometimes there's a gray area in certain situations that like you're not like that when you're little, you don't have the social awareness to like be able to differentiate. Like lying to the cashier lady about whether or not, you know, you have an email address is honestly dumb. Like just saying no. Like and that comes to like, well, obviously we're both Geminis. Geminis are very, very, very blunt. Like we just kind of tell you exactly what it is. I am more so like that. I mean, I think sometimes like even Amber's like, gosh, you're so harsh with like, even with Derek, like, God, you're so harsh. And I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, you know, like that's kind of how I am.
I'm a lot better at sugarcoating things.
Yeah. I'm not really good, especially if I'm like, I just don't like, and it's not that I can't empathize or I can't understand the other side. Like, cause you can, if you explain it to me, I can get all in the gray area with you. It's just that in certain situations, I'm like, well, in my opinion, there's an ideal way. It doesn't mean that I don't understand your way, if that makes sense. But so I just tend to be a lot more blunt with exactly how I feel. And so for me, it's like, if somebody's like, hey, do you have an email address for us? No, thank you. I have enough email subscriptions. That's literally what I say. Like, I'm just like, yeah, no. Yeah, I have one. I have like a ton of email addresses, but I don't want any more spam coming to my thing. Or if I go there enough times, I'm like, you know what? You guys have asked me like 3 or 4 times. Obviously, I come here enough that it matters. So I probably should sign up for your newsletter or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just think it makes more sense to just be honest. But at the same time, when you're talking to things like, if you're talking to kids about, kids are different because when you're talking to them about like sex or like, you're pregnant and they're like, well, how did the baby get in there or whatever it may be? Like, you have to gauge, your child well enough. You have to gauge on, I think there's a difference between gauging their level of ability to comprehend the whole quote unquote truth versus giving them like the portion that they can understand at their age range, right?
Yeah.
So like the conversation you have with a 15-year-old about sex is going to be completely different than you're explaining it to your 5-year-old. But telling your 5-year-old that babies come from storks is a complete lie.
Right.
So like, because it's like just wanting to avoid, or the birds and the bees or this and that. Like, children are smarter than we think. Yeah. So you just have to be able to tell them like, hey, or like our mom used to do, like, hey, are you sure you want to know the answer to that question? Because I'm going to tell you, but the conversation could potentially be uncomfortable for you. Now, I don't care, but it could be uncomfortable for you. So if you want to hear the whole story, I'll totally tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it also gets more complicated when, like, if you're talking to people, tend to put, especially parents, tend to put their own like feelings about the situation into like it's as a reason why they're not telling the truth or like why they're lying. In that case with that lady, she was like, well, I felt about the screen time and the doctor. Oh, I felt bad because I just feel, I think she goes on to say like she felt bad because she felt like she wasn't a good parent because I let you have more screen time than you should, and I don't want people judging me and this and that. And
if your own personal,
I think
Ash and I had this conversation too, like about this in a different situation. But if your own, like, think about that. If you have kids, if your own personal crap is the reason why you're not telling your kid the truth, you probably need to tell them the truth. Like, if you're over here, like, it just makes me feel uncomfortable. Well, it's not the best. Like, it's because it makes you're the adult. Like, you're the one who has to process this. If later on down the line, right, you're going to have a sit down conversation that's going to have to rebut all the stuff that you spent time explaining to your kid in detail or thoroughly coming up with a lie that will be agreeable and make sense to your child, you might as well just tell them the truth, because you'll end up having the conversation twice instead of just having it once in an honest and open conversation, which also builds trust and closeness and understanding for your kids. And that's just a skill that they need to learn anyway. So
yeah, I think also too, like, I don't think that everybody goes in like wanting to be like, oh, I'm going to start by telling my kid this lie. Like,
yeah,
maybe for some reason, like, it's a conversation with your kid that you need to have. And like, by not telling them it's a lie, if that makes sense. But like, you don't go down you just avoid the conversation. Like, you as the adult should bring it up. And by not bringing it up, it's like perpetuating this certain mindset, if that makes sense. So like Phoenix example, he keeps telling me, oh, Santa Claus is real, guys. Like, we've already told him. And if you have kids, sorry, put your headphones in. But like, we don't do Santa Claus either over here. And we've said it before, I think, in a holiday episode. But he is still convinced that Santa Claus is real. He'll even to the point where he will be like, well, Santa Claus is real, but not like where we live. But he's real other places. Like, he just like, because he's at school and all these kids are telling him, oh, Santa Claus comes to our house. Santa Claus does this. Santa Claus does that. And I've told him multiple times, like, son, he's not real. This is who the guy was. Like, this and that, whatever. We explained it to him, but he just wants to believe in the magic of it. And I'm totally fine with that. As long as I've explained the truth, yeah, you're welcome to believe whatever you want, but you're not going to come back and tell me that, oh, you've been lying to me this whole time. No, I told you the truth, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I definitely think it's like a gray area where, like,
I mean, there was
your kid asks you to be straight, to be honest, 100%, and to also clarify what it is they're actually asking too. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
So there's an episode of 911. Did you watch this one where, spoiler alert.
I've watched every episode.
Okay, spoiler alert. If you have not watched the most recent episodes of 911, the original 911, skip this part because it'll give away something in the show. But if you have, then carry on with this. But there was an episode about how Buck finds out that he had a brother that was older than him that died, and that his parents gave birth, conceived him solely for the purpose of being a bone marrow transplant match to his brother, who then died before they could actually get because the transplant didn't take or something like that. And so that
I totally did miss that part of the episode.
What do you mean? Did you miss it?
I knew that he had a brother, but I didn't realize, I must have walked away when they were explaining that they only made him to try to keep their other son alive.
Yeah, they did. They conceived him to keep their other son alive because they needed his bone marrow to match it or something, to match him.
Why couldn't they have gotten bone marrow from Homegirl?
They weren't a match.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So that's like a huge thing. But he grew up feeling like a misfit, and like his parents were always terrified that something was going to happen to him. So they were very controlling of him, but also didn't really pay attention to him unless they were like coddling him or caring for him, so he's just kept doing daredevil stuff his whole life. And simply because his parents didn't at some point in his conscious mind, your alarm, twin?
Sorry. Yeah.
At some point didn't feel like it was a good idea to sit him down when he was old enough to understand and be like, this is your little brother. Or even when he's little, show him pictures. This was your little brother, and I'm going to tell you some stories about him because of their own pain. So he grew up and he's like 30 years old, and he never understood why he felt like he was a misfit, and like his parents didn't really care, like didn't really love him, and they were so mean to him and all this stuff. And in reality, it's because they suffered a huge loss, but they didn't trust him with it. They only trusted his sister, and they're like, don't tell him.
Yeah.
And that's like,
I think that situation is like, it's really hard because he doesn't remember. So how do you explain to, because he was really little, like, how do you explain to him, hey,
at some point in 30 years of life,
because at some point there's going to have to be lying.
At some point in 30 years of life, you can tell him, maybe not say, well, we conceived you simply so that
you were made for a bone marrow transplant.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You say, like, this is your brother, and at least let him know that he existed. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, they could have just simply kept pictures around of him.
Yeah.
And then eventually he'd be like, oh, who's that? Oh, that's your brother. He passed away when you were really little, so you probably don't remember him.
Yeah. I mean, his parents say something in the episode about how Buck was made to save people, and now he's a firefighter and he saves people every day. They say that in the episode. So again, like, that's just not a necessary conversation that you should be having with your 30-year-old. That conversation could have happened many times over as you're growing up in your years. So that they lied to him to protect themselves.
If his sister had told him, if his sister had told him, it would have been like, probably he would have received it easier or better if his sister had told him.
Yeah.
I think, because sometimes when siblings tell you stuff, it's received better than if your parents like make a big to-do about it.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I don't know. I think that it's important that people, it's important to just not lie to your kids about things, especially if it's to protect your own feelings about it, your own emotions about it, because obviously if it's bothering you, imagine how big of a to-do and issue it's going to be when you have to explain it to your kid and why you kept it from them for their whole life or whatever. It's just a hard thing to have to deal with. So and the article does go on to say that, obviously there's gray areas in life, but in general, kids that find out that they've been lied to at pivotal moments in their life tend to either continue to lie or be like disruptive or misbehaving or deceitful, or like all these things, because they're taught that based on the fact that, they're angry because you lied, but they also learn that wow, people can really lie, like, for a long time, keep a secret from me. So it must not be as bad as, I thought it was, or whatever. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and not that Ashley and I are perfect, or that we're never going to make the mistake of not telling Landon or Phoenix the truth. But, there's just little moments, like, they just came up, like, Landon really wanted to play with chalk outside. And it was -6 2 weeks ago outside. So I was like, we can't, and it was covered in snow. I was like, Landon, we can't go outside and play with chalk. Because you use it outside on the sidewalk, you can't. Now he's 2.5. He couldn't really understand what I was talking about. So he then decided that the chalk was icky and he can't eat it. I don't know how he got there, but now every time he saw the box of chalk, he would say icky, and it's not food, and it's icky, and he'd put it back in the box. And I was like, okay, well, that's not what I meant. I wasn't saying that you like can't. And like, I felt bad because I was like, I feel like I lied to you. Like, I'm not saying that it's just like bad forever. I'm just saying that right now we can't. And he's 2.5 years old. It's not that big of a deal. But like, I felt bad because I was like, man, I feel like I just lied to my son about this chalk. And
Yeah.
It's just like, obviously cognitively he couldn't really understand it. And when we play with chalk outside, he's going to be fine. But I just feel like that kind of stuff is just important, that you, even in small moments, you make the important effort, just like with Santa and Phoenix, you make the important effort to tell the truth to your kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's all really good points. I don't think I really have anything else to add, but to say, like, your kid really well, and you may think that they're going to react in this horrible way, and or they're not old enough to understand, but who knows? Phoenix surprises me every day with the things that he understands and he retains. So
yeah,
give your kids more credit, I think, would be the only thing I have left to add. But yeah, so we need to get into our, what was I trying to say?
Go girl, no girl. Yeah.
Yes. And did you want to go first this time, Twin?
Oh yeah. So, the F45 challenge technically ended this week. Our studio is doing an extra week. So I weighed myself and scanned myself this week simply because I wanted to know where I was at the 6-week mark. And I am down 3% body fat from when I first started going to F45 in January. So Woo! That's like a huge, huge deal. Super happy about it. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's awesome.
Do you know what you lost in the challenge?
How much body fat I lost in the challenge? No.
Yeah, it's like, do you know where you were when you started? Okay.
I mean, I feel like I scanned a week before the challenge started. Like the next week I started at 45. So I've been going.
Oh yeah. That's true.
It was like literally the next week. So yeah, I mean,
yeah,
basically, yeah, 3%, I guess, since I've been going to F45. So, and I hadn't really lost any body fat. That's awesome. I hadn't really lost any body fat in just my losing weight until I started going to F45. So nice.
Nice.
What's yours?
Yay, that's awesome. So my go girl, no girl is actually that I am going to take my certification for personal training. So I'm going to become a certified personal trainer, and hopefully my goal is to get it done in the next 8 weeks. You actually get 180 days, which breaks down to like 6 months. But I feel like that's way too long to be studying material and testing on it. Like, especially for like one class. So, but yeah, I'm on section 3, which is going to be super long because it's all about physiology and anatomy. So I ordered some flashcards, but yeah, hopefully in the next, 2 months, we'll say 2 months, I will be coming on here saying, hey, I'm a certified personal trainer. So yes, Yay. I'm super excited. The only thing I actually have to do that I keep forgetting is that I have to get CPR and AED certified. And most people know what CPR, but AED is learning how to use a defibrillator safely.
Oh, wow.
So I have to go through certification for those. So that adds on top of the cost of getting certified. And I can't take my test unless I have that certification. Wow. So I have to go to, I think, like the Red Cross in San Diego and go for like an 8-hour class or something to learn how to do CPR and do AED. So that's not super fun, but I'll probably do that like closer to when I have to take my,
yeah.
probably once I get done reading all the material, then I'll go schedule that and do that. But yeah, very exciting. I'm really, really excited to like be able to help people and like, you know, share my experience with them and help them get to their goals. And yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yay!
So
I'm so proud.
But thank you. Derek was very excited about it too. He was like, I think it's such a good idea. Like, you know, like I think you'll do great. And I've had a lot of people being very encouraging about it. So I'm excited. But on that note, I think that wraps up our show. Thank you guys again for watching. We, you know, we say this a million times, but we love you guys and thank you so much for listening and hanging with us for, you know, a second season. And you already know where to find us, description box and our show notes. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah. Bye.